1. What's going on, everybody? Hope all of you having a good Thursday so far. Welcome to the latest edition of the Hub of Champions pod with your host, Shukri Wrights. And I know some of you have noticed this already, but I'm going to point it out because I like to poke fun at myself. My last name is spelled right, not Wrights. It's my dad's last name, so I'm not changing it at all. So for any of you sly idiots out there on social media that want to poke fun, oh, your last name was spelled wrong. Actually, that's my dad's last name, and I'm very proud owner of my dad's last name. So with that being said, the guest I have tonight, for those of you watching on YouTube, see there's a double box edition. For those of you that are just listening on iHeart or wherever you get your podcast, double box time, which means I have a guest on, and this guest is truly have become one of my really dear friends who equally as is passionate about sports, especially about Boston sports at that, as much as I am. And if you aren't already, and I'm pretty sure that you are, and if you're a fan of DraftKings Network, you've seen the man on the airwaves already. Emerson Lotzia Jr., the man, the myth, the legend from DraftKings. You've seen him on Nesson. You've seen him all across the Boston sports airwaves. Emerson, what's going on, my man? How you doing?
Let's go. Let's go, baby. Finally, we link up. The Hub
Finally, after how long?
Chuck and Wright or Wrights, whatever you want to call him. I can tell you right now, people, and you all know this listening, he is top 5 easily hardest working men in media. Okay. And I've been doing this stupid job for close to 20 years now. And when we finally linked up on social media, I said, dude, this guy's a freaking grinder, man. This guy has a passion, bro. So when you were like, yo, can you come on? I was like, I got to make this work, man. I got to get with Chuck here, dude. Thanks for having me on, dude. What's shaking? You doing all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's an honor and my privilege, man. Like, for real, like I'm humble, man. I'm humbled by that. Thank you. It really does feel good to be like, I appreciate that. It really does feel good to like, for when all the people in media who I'm working my way into entering on that same level and so forth, recognize the fact that, like, I do bust my ass and work hard
you have to,
every day. Like, you have to, and you already know this. So I appreciate that greatly. And I mean, I didn't even realize this initially, Emerson. Like, I realized that now, post Boston, that I just didn't realize just how much I would be missed.
Yeah.
I mean honest. I'm being completely honest with you.
It's different.
Like, it didn't occur to me at first, because I'm thinking, well, yeah, I heard it in the last days when I was there last August and so forth. Yeah. But what I have noticed on social media, and people may think that I don't see it, but I've seen the tweets and I've seen some of a lot of the responses and so forth, where it's like, yo, come back to Boston, blah blah blah, like, and people are telling me, like, yo, like, we miss you, dude. And it's like,
I miss your rants. I miss your rants when you're sitting in TD Garden, whether it's a Celtics game, I don't know, whether it's a Bruins game. I mean, I'm telling you, you whip your phone out like first intermission, and it's like I'm getting the news right there from a passionate fan. You're doing your selfie, and while some dude's just chugging a $30 beer,
a TD Garden beer. You already know. God, I miss that. Like,
and last year when the local news, I think I forget which station it was. My wife works for WBZ. She's a producer there. So I'm always like, if you guys are there, like, looking for fans, look for Shuck, because this mother beeper is this dude will give you the best freaking soundbite. Like, and they'll just roll it into like all the Celtics opens, or I'd like, shit, man, like the Bruins, for crying out loud, are always like putting you like in their videos and stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really humbling, man. And to go back on that point, I miss that, and among other things about Boston, so dearly. Like, you mentioning about the guy chucking beer behind me, drinking out of those plastic clear cups. Those of you that have been to Bruin or Celtic games or any event at TD Garden know exactly what the hell we're both talking about. So it's like, oh my God, it's the little things that I miss. I miss that dearly. Like, I miss the craziness. Like, and going back to your point about the about like the one of the local TV stations. I think
Yeah.
last year.
I can't. Which station was that? I can't even remember. Was
I
that
think
with
it was
CBS?
WBZ in 20, and so it was channel for WBZ in 2022 during the Celtics run to the finals.
Yes,
that I had that legendary bit.
Epic.
That was almost 2 years ago. If you if this doesn't send a message to the rest of the NBA, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago now. And
it was badass. Bro.
I didn't know that.
It was badass. It was awesome.
I didn't think anything of it at the time, but the next morning I remember I woke up and my phone is still buzzing at this point. I'm like, okay, what the hell's going on? And I went to sleep like after I got home. I went back to my old apartment in Brookline, and I went to sleep and I woke up and I'm like, what the hell's going on? I go on Twitter and I see all the tweets and they're like, oh my God, that was shook last night on a channel 11 on like 11 o'clock news. And I'm like, oh, this went viral, didn't it? Sure enough, it did. And
they ran it in like every show, dude. It was in like every show because it was like that good. Because seriously, it's like people are watching the news and like you hear like fun, passionate like fans like screaming and someone giving you a good soundbite. Like there were probably moms and dads and people cooking in the kitchen who had to stop and turn around and look at the TV and be like, hell yeah, I'm watching that game tonight. Let's go.
Like I miss that. I miss it every day. And people don't really know. Like which is why like when we were talking before we went on the air, that like I'm not it's not a secret like that I genuinely miss Boston. I genuinely miss the people and the relationships. I do. Like it's in it, and I will put this out there because if when you move or when you go visit Boston, and I could tell you this from both perspectives, I've done both. Before I moved to Boston, and like when you go visit Boston, it's like you don't want to leave. And then when you move to Boston, it's like it becomes such a massive part of you, a part of who you are. And every person that came to visit me when I was living in Boston the first time, from my mom to some of my closest friends, my homegirls, they're like, "Yo, I see why you fell in love with the city." I'm like, dude, I told you it's different. Like
it is, dude.
Like it's just it's a different vibe. It's a different connection with people that just care deeply about it. Could be about obviously sports. I mean, there's a reason why Boston's the best sports market in the country, but then there's also a reason why like people have a reputation in Boston, like in terms of being massholes, but I like to call them affectionately as masshole assholes. Like it's earned. It's 100% earned.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. You can't just come here. And like I've been in that position too when my wife and I moved up here from Florida like 8.5 years ago. Like it reminds me a lot of like my mom. Maybe a little like crusty, like on the outside at first, but man, when you crack that shell, they are marshmallows inside, and they are phenomenal, sweet people. And seriously, even some people who may tell me to F off still to this day, I'm like, hey man, I know that's your love language, and I appreciate that. Like for real.
It is. It's like it's funny because like I could already envision myself walking down West Broadway in Southie, and those of you that are in Boston know already, so I don't need to explain about where that is. Like you walk down West Broadway in Southie, and you can hear like the old Irish dude telling you go fuck off, you like you can hear it in that strong accent. You're like, oh my god, I'm home. And it's just like
you're home.
You're home. I'm home. I'm home now, but which is why, like, listen, like, I cannot wait, God willing, for when I am finally back home, because I do, and you're right about one thing though, like, it was a travesty that I didn't get the chance to link up with you before I left the first time, but
we got time, big man. We got time. You're gonna come back here. We're gonna hang. We're gonna do more of the podcast together. Like, absolutely, brother. Like for real.
Like, Absolutely, and I look forward to it because I already told my extended family up there. I'm like, yo, like it's not a secret. Like, like I miss it. I do
Hmm.
intend fully to return. When exactly, that's it's truly not in my hands. I mean, one thing I do know about life is that life has an amazing way of working itself out, both
Dude.
when you expect it and also even when you, especially when you don't expect it as
Yeah.
well.
It's definitely
So
for me when you
that's
don't expect it. And then like so many people out there who are also like grinding for opportunities, no matter what industry or business you're in. And
yeah.
so many times throughout my career, it's been like, I want this, I want this job, I want this opportunity,
Hmm.
didn't get it, led to other incredible opportunities and relationships that have formed.
Yes.
And so I always tell people, listen, sometimes the one thing you want the most is the best thing to never happen to you because you just can't plan your life.
Mhm.
And sometimes life's like, oh, you want that? Here's a curveball, big guy. Let's see if you hit it out of the park. And you know what? A lot of people don't sleep on yourself, man. Don't sleep on yourself. Have confidence in yourself. Whatever you want, you will get. Just do what Shuck
Yeah.
does and work your ass off. Seriously, because I tell people all the time too. I don't think, and this is my sister hates when I do this, but I'm like, I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm the best at necessarily like a lot of what I do, but what I can do, what I will guarantee you I will do is I will outwork everybody else. And that
Yeah.
speaks volumes.
Absolutely, and it's funny because like my best friend was talking to me about this like earlier, and she was like, like I've never questioned or worried about your work ethic. Your work ethic speaks for
Yeah.
itself, but
Yeah.
but now for you, it's now getting to that next level and recognizing that hey, like there's a next tier that you gotta like
Yeah.
that you gotta get to, but you will get to, but now it's now
Yeah.
like what you didn't know before. Now you're learning and
Yeah.
now do the homework to actually apply that knowledge into apply it to your craft and so forth.
Yeah. Totally.
Now I will ask you this though, because I
Okay.
saw something before before we hit record, and the news that is just hot off the press, and it's something that has already got me fired up. It's already got me
I know. I want to. You don't want to hear
pretty
what I have to say right now. I want to hear what you have to say because you're
like
the one
I
beforehand. You're like, "Yo, Em, I might go off," and I said, "Go off,
like
Cam. Go off.
I have to go off because
Go."
the one thing that really bothers me about Boston sports fans is that you can't have your cake and eat it too sometimes, like one thing I've discovered since the hiring of Gerard Mayer as the new head coach of the New England Patriots is that I have seen an uptick in questions from fans and media alike in terms of what is the plan? What are you going to do? What are your laid out plans for, like, how are you going to get this team back on track and so forth? For God's sakes, it's only been 15 minutes he's had a chance to sit down and enjoy a nice coffee right across from Boston Common. It's only been 15 minutes. And you already want to know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Give them an opportunity to breathe. So the news breaks, and you see that the Patriots finally, after what seemed like an eternity, oh my God, we're so impatient that we cannot wait to finally have an offensive coordinator. When is it going to happen? Congratulations. It finally happens. It finally happens. Alex Van Vliet, you have an offensive coordinator. Congratulations, Patriot fans. Congratulations, New England. You have what you have felt and deemed as the missing link. Now you feel like you have a complete, total coaching staff. Woo! Great. Meanwhile, you insufferable, ungrateful bastards love to
Ooh.
complain. You love to complain about every little thing. I'm gotten so sick and tired of it. I'm tired of you whiners, those that love to sit here and complain about every little thing as to what is Gerard Mayer going to do? What is he going to do? What's next? How is he going to go? Listen, give him a chance. It hasn't even been a month. We just finally got an offensive coordinator. But of course, Of course, in the most typical way. And Emerson, you could attest to this. People love to find reasons to bitch and complain, especially,
Oh yeah,
especially
dude.
on social media. Go ahead, Emerson.
Oh,
I'm done.
oh my God, no. So yeah, so who's this guy? Alex Van Pelt is the offensive coordinator of the
Yeah.
Browns and was fired like a month ago. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, I don't know what about this Cleveland Browns offense the past few seasons screams, oh, that's
The guy.
mind-blowing stuff. And I want that
Mhm.
guy. Yeah, nothing screams, that's the guy. Listen, this dude knows a hell of a lot more football than I do. That's for sure. But I
Stop
can
it.
tell you, it was smoking Joe Flacco who turned that team around over the last like 5-6 weeks of the season, whatever the
Mhm.
hell it was. I
Yeah.
mean, you flack around and you find out. And teams found out, of course, until they ran into the Texans in the playoffs. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to act like I'm this offensive coordinator guru around the NFL. The
Mhm.
team dealt with an ass ton of injuries, and then
Mhm.
you gave the worst contract, like I think ever in the NFL to Deshaun
Yeah.
Watson, who hasn't looked himself, at least
Yeah.
when he was with the Houston Texans here. And then you
Mhm.
dealt with massive injuries in the backfield to start the year for Cleveland. But the Patriots need a spark. The Patriots need a spark. Anything and
Yeah.
everything was going to help this team take a step forward.
Mhm.
Were we going to call this a step back? I don't know. Again, not necessarily an expert in this situation, but I like what he did with Joe Flacco. I like
Mhm.
the fact of he's going to come to New England. He's going to have a clean slate.
Yeah.
Who's going to be his quarterback, though? Who's his quarterback going to be throwing to? Is that offensive line going to be put back together in front of whoever is under center?
Mm.
I don't know. What the hell are they going to do with Mac Jones? Are we going to
Good
finally get
question.
Zappy Hour once again? There's no happy hour in each state, but we do have
God, I hope
Zappy
not.
Hour.
I hope not.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, what do they do at number 3 overall? What do they do?
That's the question of the decade here in New England. What do they do at number 3? It's even bigger than 2021 when the questions was asked. What are the Patriots going to do at pick number 15? We obviously know that was the pick that we used to pick Mac Jones out of Alabama. Now in 2024, and arguably what is the biggest draft in New England, in my opinion, probably in the last 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think it's hyperbole to say that this is the $1 million question. What will the Patriots do at number 3? Because, and people will wonder who are going to watch this and say, well, why last 30 years? Are you high? Actually, no, because you forget that Tom Brady was here for 20 years and you've had 4 years of post Brady. So before that, you had some guy named Drew Bledsoe. I'm sure Patriot fans of a certain age remember Drew Bledsoe, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so yeah, like again, Drew Bledsoe was a top 10 pick in like back in 1993. So, with that being said, this is the biggest draft for the Patriots in the last 30 years because you need a quarterback. I need to destroy and basically shelve any sort of idea that Mac Jones will be back next season. Like, why would you want to bring him back after what is clear to everyone who has watched the Patriots through this painful 2023 season? His confidence
Yeah.
is shot.
Oh,
He
dude, he
has
doesn't
no
have any.
confidence.
Yeah, he has no
He's got
confidence.
none.
And you read some of the fantastic reporters around here in Boston who are
Yeah.
connected.
Mhm.
It's like what a lot of their sources are telling them. They're like, this guy's confidence is just shot. So it would probably be best for both sides to part ways.
Mhm.
I don't know the contract details in terms of, I know they're not going to pick up his 5th-year option or what it would potentially
Yeah.
cost. I mean, it's still his rookie deal, so it can't be like much, but I don't know what
Mhm.
someone would give you for Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Or if you just say, hey, listen, we got to cut ties. I want to see him draft Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3 overall. but they have to have a game plan at quarterback. A lot of people say,
I agree.
"Oh, go Jaden Daniels," who was like after Drake May and Caleb Williams is known as that like last top 10 guy for a quarterback in the upcoming draft. But we've seen it with quarterbacks before. They're not a lock. They are not a lock to be a guaranteed baller at that position.
Yeah.
But you know who is? A lot of wide receivers are. And Marvin Harrison Jr. looks as close to a sure thing as I think we've seen in a long, long time.
At the receiver position, yes.
Yes, at the receiver position. Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't know. Do the Patriots go out there and say, hey, let's sign like a free agent? The free agent class isn't too bad. I've seen people bringing up maybe bringing back Jacoby Brissett. I don't know what the Bucs are going to do with Baker Mayfield. He's out there. Hey, bring in Jameis Winston.
I've seen Justin Fields' name get floated around.
I saw that
making a trade for him, and I'm like, I'm not entirely against it, but for me, and I've said this on the podcast, I said it on my old radio show, I am a firm believer that if you're going to go get a quarterback, you better make sure you have the right system for him to be able to thrive in. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
yes, the number one question right now you need to answer is what the hell are you going to do at quarterback? You don't win in this league with
you don't. You just
shitty
don't.
Quarterback. You could win with a mediocre quarterback, but your defense got to be good enough, and there's got to be some big time targets like surrounding that individual too. Yeah.
So, which is why, like, even right now, and as we sit here and we do this recording, like, the big news right now is the hiring of the new offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt, formerly of the Cleveland Browns, to the New England Patriots. And that now pretty much fills out their search for a new head coach, and as well as new coordinators as well.
And Chuck, it's interesting. I'm just reading that, like, when Van Pelt joined the Browns, like when Stefanski became the head coach in 2020, like Stefanski was the one calling the offensive plays too. So it's always so weird to me, like these situations, like what does this guy you label as an offensive coordinator? What is his actual job? I guess he was focused just on other responsibilities during his like 4 seasons or so in Cleveland. So I'd been a quarterback's coach also for other teams like the Bengals, Packers, I think maybe the Bills in there as well.
Absolutely. Now, this is the entire, well, not the entire coaching staff, but in terms of the head coach, 2 coordinators, special team coach for the 2024 season. Gerard Mayo, head coach.
Yep.
Jeremy Springer, he is the special teams coordinator for the Patriots. Defensive coordinator, DeMarcus Covington. Offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt. That's your coaching staff going into the 2024 season. Now that has been completely squared away and done, now the focus could really be where it needs to be, and that's what the Patriots are going to do at number 3. But what also could be true is that while the rest of New England rages on, and I'm talking about Boston sports media, while they go back and forth arguing as to who the Patriots should take at number 3, whether it should be Marvin Harris Jr. or if it should be a Drake May or Jaden Daniels and so forth. I have an even bigger question for you, Emerson, because as we are now sitting here in the month of February, and February historically has meant that it is the return of a very special sport that is near and dear to my heart. And that also means hope springs eternal, but it can also be the biggest letdown in humankind. And that is the following question I'm about to ask you. Which team has you most excited for the spring? Is it the Red Sox, whose spring training is about to start in exactly 2 weeks?
Nope.
The Bruins or the Celtics? Please take it away.
It comes down, the Red Sox, it would be tough to be less interested than I am currently right now in the Red Sox. And you have a lot of friends who cover the Red Sox in this market as well.
Yeah.
I was texting with some of them the other day. this is not good for everybody here in the market in terms of the lack of movement and lack of interest that the Red Sox are showing in being competitive. It's not good right now. And it hurts a lot of our friends who are paid to cover this team. That doesn't generate a lot of buzz right now.
Yeah.
So to me, man, the Bruins and Celtics are so fun right now because they're both like legit the best team in their league. Where I hesitate to kind of go all in and just put 110% of my passion in is just seeing the recent disappointment in the postseason by both these teams who have been at the top of their sport over the past recent seasons. Do you know what I mean? Like I look at the Celtics and like I look at the Celtics and say, oh man, like you went out and grabbed some incredible pieces like this offseason that is clearly like paying off for you right now. Some major moves that Brad Stevens has made. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, we know how good they are. Kristaps Porzingis is going to be the reason that they win this next banner, along with Drew Holiday. Finally, like with Porzingis, they have that like big number 3 guy, a guy who is so freaking dangerous in so many ways on the offensive side, but he also can defend the freaking rim, man.
Yeah.
It comes down to health. It comes down to late game situations a little bit, which is why, we've seen, especially against like top-notch opponents, like maybe the Celtics like can't find a way to completely close. But this has got to be it. This has got to be the year, especially if, and they're already thin like at that forward spot, because you also have to like basically wrap Porzingis in bubble wrap until the postseason. He's that important to you, man.
Yeah.
But you've seen the difference, and Drew Holiday has just continued to get more and more comfortable, like with this team. You're really starting to see this team gel a lot, man. And as we're about to enter like the All-Star break, it's hot. But I look at the other side with the Bruins. Do you think we overreacted a little bit to losing Bergeron and Krejci? Like, I don't know, when everyone acting like, and I'm not saying necessarily you or in this market, like we're all a little nervous. That was the end of an era.
I'm thinking back to last summer. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I think a lot of people outside the market too are like, oh, this team's nothing. Like Marchand can't put this team on his back. Charlie Coyle can't step up. No way these netminders continue to play at this level. They have 2 dudes between the pipes who are top 10 in the league right now.
Yeah.
You've got Coyle who stepped the hell up and is on this career pace. Brad Marchand has like not slowed down at all. And while they were a little iffy on offense to start the year, I forget what kind of heater they've been on here, man. And the way that they ended it before going into the break. Since I think it was like the middle of December? I saw a stat earlier that they're like, this is the best offense in the NHL right now that we're talking about. Like that's sick, dude. And like you've got guys who you needed to step up for the Bruins to step up. Now, my question is, what are you going to do at the trade deadline? Like, are you want to ride this out? I think it's March 8th for the NHL.
Oh yeah.
You want to ride? Do you want to ride this thing out? Or do you think you add a couple other pieces for that playoff push that you could finally freaking finish?
And that's a great question because I want to backpedal a little bit to the original question I was asking.
My answer is it's tough to pick between the Bruins and the Celtics. That's the long ass answer.
In terms of the Red Sox, because you really got me thinking here. Like you got me thinking because I'm thinking about the likes of Jared Carabas, who
my DraftKings teammate who's in pain right now.
Like I can't even imagine the amount of pain. I'm not even playfully like making fun of the guy at all because dude's been awesome to me on so many levels and so forth. But I really can't imagine the pain that he feels. Like him and Tyler Milliken and those who do the Red Sox podcast on the DraftKings network. I can't imagine the pain that they're feeling because I literally I basically went off the other night. because I can't remember a time where a front office of a major market organization flat out lied to the masses and said, we're going full throttle. Meanwhile, your definition of full throttle is a 2-mile-per-hour tortoise racing down the pike. That's your definition of full throttle. And I've never seen anything like it where I'm like, wow. So you lied, and then when you got held to the fire at Red Sox winter weekend, by the way, in which of course John Henry decided to be a complete coward and not show up, and leaving only Sam Kennedy to show up and Craig Breslow and so forth, they're the ones that have to answer all the questions from the fans, from angry fans that are wondering what the hell's going on with the team, what the hell's going on at Jersey Street, because man, you can't fire Chaim Bloom, bringing a new guy in Craig Breslow, and suddenly say we're gonna go full throttle, y'all. You basically pulled a Howard Dean of lying. That's what you did in sports. And what makes it even worse is that we're now in the month of February. Emerson, if you pulled up the amount of free agents that are still available right now in Major League Baseball,
some big ones.
Some big names. I should grab my hand and put it around the neck of either John Henry or someone in the front office, because I cannot believe the laundry list of big names that are still available as free agents, and the Red Sox will not spend the money. And the fact that Ken Rosenthal, a couple of days ago, when asked, are the Red Sox even trying? And Rosenthal, you can pull up the clip on Twitter, he answered a resounding no. Didn't even sugarcoat it. I thought that in itself was so damning on so many fronts. Like, wow. Yeah. This is not even a tank job. You're not even trying to spend.
No. Another issue with some of the big free agents remaining. I'd probably say like guys like Cody Bellinger, Matt Chapman, Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell. So besides being like 4 of the best free agents remaining, the fun fact about that is they're all Scott Boras clients. So we're gonna hear from Scott Boras quite a bit, and those 4 guys are likely to land like 9-figure deals, and you certainly know the Red Sox aren't going to be paying it. And you have the national guys too, which Jared pointed out on Twitter last week. National guys now are really starting to dial into, why is this large market team not doing anything? Why are they not going after Jordan Montgomery, who has recently had so many connections to Boston? I believe his significant other is here studying, and he's been working out like in the area in the off season, has an apartment here and stuff. It just seems like it would make sense for him. But then you had like guys like Justin Turner, man, that hurt. That hurt. Yeah. Like what he seemed like such a fit here in terms of personality, on-field production, wanting to be here, saying the right things. The fans love him. And you couldn't give him like $13 million like Toronto did?
Yeah.
I guess I know the Red Sox, I mentioned they want to kind of rotate the DH position, which was obviously going to hurt like Turner's value there, but I don't know. Something tells me they can make it work. And like there's the report that Turner's team like reached out to the Red Sox, tried to engage in a little bit of chatter, some talk, and the Red Sox didn't want anything to do with it. And it's like that's a slap in the face to fans. And going back to winter weekend, Sam Kennedy, he had like a back and forth with one of the guys at WEEI.
Yeah.
It's basically like, if you don't think we're not committed to winning, you're a liar. And I'm like, buddy, the proof's in the pudding here. Actions louder than words. There have been no actions taken here. And Sam Kennedy gets up there and becomes like a little bit of a mouthpiece for ownership. And it's tough. It's a tough spot for him. It really is. But you also have to remember, he's also part of ownership. He has a part in this. So
and I
didn't think it was a good look. Yeah, I didn't think it was a good look calling fans and people calling him out liars. Not a good look. Yeah. This has been a terrible offseason, Chuck. Terrible.
It really has, and with 2 weeks remaining until spring training, because I was talking about this earlier on my personal podcast, on the Shook Rights podcast on iHeartRadio, that right after the Super Bowl, by the way, that last play, whatever that last play looks like in the Super Bowl 58 coming up, baseball starts in 3 days after. Literally 3 days after. Pitchers and catchers.
Mhm.
For me, that's when baseball season starts.
Yeah.
Not opening day. No, it starts when pitchers and catchers report. So,
Yeah.
as it currently stands, if I'm the Red Sox and I'm a Red Sox fan, I am angry. And I don't
they
fault
are,
you
dude.
and they are. I don't fault them whatsoever. I actually genuinely feel bad for Red Sox Nation because the years that they won, and I haven't forgotten the other part of your answer I want to address in just a moment. The years that they won, 2004, 2007, 2013, 2018, they were among the highest payrolls in Major League Baseball. That's not a rumor, that is a fact. They spent the money. So the question I'm posing, and not just necessarily to you, but I'm putting it out there, is what changed? Don't tell me the 2021 sudden success shifted your thinking as to, oh, we don't have to spend money to win. You know, like we could, get by being cheap and, it'll work itself out. No, it hasn't worked itself out because in the last couple of seasons, you finished dead last in the American League East. So, like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here?
So, I mean, because like sometimes payroll, having a fat ass payroll, like does translate to going deeper to the postseason, potentially winning like a World Series. Sometimes like it doesn't. Rangers 4th highest payroll last year.
But they spent.
Yeah. Let's see, 2022 World Series, Houston was 8th, Philly was 4th. 2021, Braves had the 10th, Houston had the 5th. We know the Dodgers in 2020. I mean, like, there's an asterisk there because that was like, what, a 60, 70 game season, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
Dodgers and Tampa Bay 28th, I'm just going back and looking at the history. And then, I think you just mentioned 2018 with the Red Sox, who had the number 1 there against the 3rd highest payroll in the Dodgers back in 2018. Yeah.
So that's 5 years of evidence right there, ladies and gentlemen. 5 years.
And to me, so like, if you spend, it does typically translate. Now, we're not going to look at what the Padres have done like over recent years. That team, like last year and then like the year before, you look at them and like, there were some question marks like in their rotation and stuff like that, in the starting rotation.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, damn, this is a sexy, fun team. They couldn't put it together, man. They couldn't put it together, but then they became Slam Diego, which was like really fun, like 2 seasons ago, where they just kept hitting grand slams. But going back to your point, what changed with the Red Sox? To me, ownership started really getting their hands in other cookie jars, man. They really did. They're worried about, their soccer team. They're worried about now their hockey team in Pittsburgh. And then we saw the news yesterday, Chuck, with like
the PGA Tour.
Yeah, with the PGA Tour. Exactly. So it's just somewhere else where their mind is at. And the Red Sox just aren't their baby anymore. So they're just kind of like, we just want to make sure all of these teams are making money and putting money in our wallets, and the rich will just continue to get richer. And since it's not their main focus, I don't think moving forward, I don't think they're going to be all in on the Red Sox. And I think that really sucks for a fan base here that is so passionate. Because even during the dynasty run of the Pats, Chuck, and even like the Bruins, I think there's a lot of people who would argue that this is still a freaking baseball town.
It is.
Like like
how good
the freaking Celtics are right now. And I think more people are bitching about the Red Sox than complimenting the Celtics.
And that's really the undoing of the Red Sox, if you will, because of the fact that we know how deep the pockets are with the Fenway Sports Group.
Yeah, dude.
And I basically have pointed out yesterday that, listen, the fact that it's a $3 billion deal. And for those of you that don't know, I strongly recommend you go read into the column in the Boston Globe, in the Boston Herald, wherever. It's a $3 billion deal with the PGA Tour that's that has his hands fully immersed in Saudi money, by the way. So, and we're not getting political here, but the point is that you got time to be part of a $3 billion investment with the PGA Tour, but you don't got money to pay Justin Turner. You don't have money to pay Eduardo Rodriguez. You don't got money to pay. Xander Bogarts. Like, should I go on and on? Like, the math ain't mathing here, like, whatsoever. So, yeah, like the Red Sox deserve to be slammed. And as we're getting closer towards opening day, which is towards the end of next month, which is literally we can see it in plain sight now. The focus of New England and Boston is going to be on the Bruins and Celtics. And speaking of the Bruins and the Celtics, to your point that you were making earlier, which one am I more excited for?
Yeah,
I'm going to go with the Celtics.
Yeah,
and I know, and some people are going to be very surprised to hear this. Like, wait, you're more excited about the Celtics than the Bruins? I'm like, yeah. Here's why: because the Bruins, people know this, and last year should be your permanent scar as a Bruins fan, whereas you never ever trust the regular season success of the team ever again, of any NHL team ever again, because the Stanley Cup playoffs are truly such a different season. It's such a different beast. What you
absolutely
do,
nailed that.
Like, whatever you do in the 82 games, it means zero. It literally means nothing. Once the puck drops for game one, round one at the Stanley Cup playoffs, new season, everybody who don't typically finish their checks or finishing checks, everybody who don't typically block shots are now blocking shots off their ass. Everyone who typically don't join in the rush coming off the defense, defending in their own end, they're now joining in the rush. Every shift matters and so forth. So I say all that to say is this. There are people that are asking the question, and I've gotten asked, do you think the Bruins they can win the cup this year? Honestly, my answer has been consistent from day one. Don't talk to me about this during the regular season. Talk to me about it when we get to April, when we get to the Stanley Cup playoffs, because that's the only way that we're going to find out whether this team truly learned its lesson or not. So far, we've heard all the right answers from Jim Montgomery, who came out recently and said, when we get to the playoffs, we're going to platoon Ullmark and Swayman, because we have two guys who could be number one goaltenders on any other given night on any other team, and we have two of them. And that was the colossal mistake the Bruins made last April, and I said it at the time. Why aren't they sticking with the goalie platoon? Regardless, because that was the recipe of the team's success. As far as the Celtics are concerned, there's only one concern that I do have as pertains to the Celtics, and I'm not being negative Willie here.
No. It's okay. You're being realistic. What is it?
I'm genuinely concerned about the center position on this team. I'm very concerned. And I was talking about this on this pod the other night. And you saw little bits and pieces of that when they played the Clippers. You saw little bits and pieces of that when they played against the Pelicans. That at the center position, you don't have a guy that you can look at and say, you know what, we don't have to worry about resting the guy, monitoring his minutes. Yeah. You have to worry about all those things with Al Horford. I love Al Horford as a fan, but as objective as I'm going to be being in the media, you have to worry about Al Horford. Kristaps Porzingis, he has been arguably the biggest piece to the puzzle for what I think can potentially be a championship Celtic team this season, along with Drew Holiday, who has been the best perimeter defender in the NBA for a number of years. But you're seeing it even more so this year than you've seen in recent years when he was with the Milwaukee Bucks. So I say all that to say that my ceiling and my excitement is higher for the Celtics. The Bruins is more of, you got to prove it to me when you get to the playoffs. Yeah. But as far as the Celtics are concerned, I am hoping, if nothing else, get them another body center who can give you minutes off the bench, that can give you quality minutes, and that can also give you some points as well. I'm not asking you to score 20 to 25 points. Give me 10, give me 12, something. Because now, with Al Horford, you have to worry about him, especially as you get closer to the playoffs. How fresh is he going to be?
Yeah, and all great points made by you. And as I mentioned earlier, like they're thin. They're thin at that power forward position and at center.
No.
as you have also stated. So an injury to Porzingis, which we all know is injury history, dude. Like he struggled to stay healthy, and he's already missed what, handful of games this season for
a handful of games. Yeah, he just had an ankle injury the other night.
Yeah, and like, thank God it wasn't serious. But like, if something was to happen to Al Horford as well, like right now, and they don't make a move like you're suggesting to get another big body in there, you're right. They could be in absolute trouble because listen, my boy Derek White can't put this team on his back every night, baby. Derek White, dude. What a meteoric rise this year. And he was already an absolute baller last season, coming up in clutch moments. There's something about the fourth quarter. Remember Isaiah Thomas? King in the fourth. Oh, yeah. King in the fourth. This dude buckled down like the other night, had the block, and just seems to come alive when the lights are the brightest. And that's exactly on nights where maybe Tatum and Brown aren't exactly connecting on every shot.